Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. All the things this thing says to do. Much appreciated in advance. But let's get into it. Now, I'm really excited about this particular game for a multitude of reasons. The main thing is not a lot of people seem to have heard of this game, and that's pretty much a shame to me because this is one of the most conceptually coolest games that I've played. Very, very different than anything from its time. And again, never really hear people talk about it. And I think that's crazy, but I understand, we didn't have a lot of info about what the games that were coming out. So I'd like to introduce to some of you probably have played this, but for those who have never seen this game before, this is Evo Search for Eden for the Super Nintendo. Now, just to explain the concept of what this game is about. So this game is based on the creation of the earth and all the planets and everything. And Gaia, who's basically like God, is tasking you with basically protecting and trying to make sure things go accordingly and nobody no evil entity or anything takes over and causes issues for everybody else. The way they do this is you start off as a life form, right? And you have to consume things to gain XP or Evo points. And as you do that, you can evolve yourself to become stronger. And you have all these different options, and not every necessary evolution is for the purpose of being quote unquote stronger. Some things have purposes for like mobility, certain types of protection, just different things. So you basically get to customize a character how you want to. And when I said earlier that most people hadn't heard of it, I personally didn't hear about this game until the days of emulation. My friend Marquise put me on to this, was like, yo, Enix made this game. Shout out to Enix too, by the way, because they had a bunch of different games that people really didn't give the credit to them that I felt like they deserved over the years. But anyway, eventually they got absorbed by Square, and they give us what they give us. But back to the game. So you start off in the water, right? There's all these different phases of basically life on planet Earth. So you start off in the sea, like things did, and you end up getting on land. You can even start to get into the air, like flying creatures and stuff like that. But it goes through all of these different cycles, and there's always somebody trying to take control of everything or kind of subjugate the rest of the creatures, and that's your job, is to kind of jump in and be a defender of those who can't defend themselves. The evolution process is crazy because they have like each saga that you're in, basically, or each time period, they have their own set of evolution. So your version may not look like the version that I created. You may want to go for certain types of a look or certain types of abilities, and it's super cool. And then even have these situations where you may get like this jewel and it'll evolve you to a certain form for a certain amount of time. So you get to see kind of different options that you have, and almost like testing them out. The other thing about this game is that it is tough. Like it's not a easy game, but it is, once you get the hang of it, because it kind of takes a second, especially when you're in the water swimming around. It's one of those Enix games back in the day. They're not pulling no punches. They're not here to walk you through it. They want you to earn it, and that's what you got to do. The other thing is like some things is trial and error. Sometimes you got to realize that your approach isn't necessarily the best approach, or the evolutions that you've taken aren't necessarily the best evolutions to take, and that variety and that figuring out what's the best course of action, I always thought was really cool. Again, this is a Super Nintendo game, so we're not talking about even the PlayStation days that, Enix is doing things that are so out of the box. I mean, they have a bunch of other games that'll probably end up on this list that I've just kind of been figuring out how to, fit them in over the course of 365 games or days, however you want to do it. But yeah, so I really wanted to showcase this game just for the sheer creativity of making a game about evolution. And there have been some other games that involve like the evolution of man or things like that, but I felt like this game was so ahead of its time with just the concept of what it was trying to do that again, I never heard of this game until somebody else told me about it, and that's 10 years after it was originally released. So I felt like this definitely had to be on the list, because just for the different subject matter, right? How many games, especially in the 90s, was taking on evolution, and even in this way where you're not actually playing a human, you're playing a fish, you're playing some version of a dinosaur. And difficulty aside, let me just say, I was getting cooked by this shark. And I got past this before, which was even more frustrating. I'm like, when did he get so hard? I even tried to play it like almost not necessarily save stating, but a little save state-ish, and it still wasn't working for me. So I was like, you know what? I'll just let the people know what happened. So if you want to see what it's like to be a dinosaur, you got to earn that right. You got to beat the shark. And unfortunately, I could not do that for the sake of this video. So my apologies on that front. But if you have not played this game and you have the ability to play this game, I definitely recommend it. You will not be disappointed. It is fun. Like I said, it is definitely different, and it's a really cool story. How creatures evolved and things like that. You'll see different little conversations between each of the creatures about their limitations and what they're trying to do to circumvent that, and also dealing with whatever threat is looming. So that was always cool too. But if you have played it, I'd like to know your thoughts about it. What did you think especially if you played this when it was originally released? If you played this in the 90s, by all means, this had to be one of those slept on games that you probably went to school and tried to tell people about, and they were like, nah, I'm cool, I don't want to be a fish. Even though Echo the Dolphin was hidden as well. But yeah, just wanted to show something that was a little different, a little outside of the box, and something that was really cool that I enjoyed. So as always, appreciate you watching the video. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe.